Good morning, one and all present in this virtual platform. I ask those tempted to yield to violence in any form to enter into biblical stories that find their fullest expression in Jesus' order to a disciple to put your sword back into its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Dear friends, in this paper, I view Fratelli Tutti as a means to procure peace by word and not by sword. Faced with injustice and cruelty, the possible human reaction can be violence against the perpetrator. Wise men like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Nelson Mandela, all of whom find mention in the encyclical, have shown us that there is another way open for us to counter violence and bring about peace. It is the way of the word or dialogue. In proposing this new way, these leaders have been profoundly influenced by Jesus' message of forgiveness and love. Pope Francis invites us to ponder deeply on this central Christian message at a time when humanity seems to be bursting at the seams with suspicion among religions and temptations for violence. Today, we live in a world in which peace is threatened in myriad ways. Religion based exclusive nationalism, xenophobia, and terrorism, inspired by narrow interpretations of religions, intolerance of otherness. These are just some of the threats to world peace mentioned by Pope Francis. To understand the encyclical's remedy to the maladies of today, I propose to use Bergson's notion of dynamic religion as a hermeneutical key. In the first part of my presentation, I will briefly deal with Bergsonian notion of dynamic religion, and then in the second part, show how the central message of Fratelli Tutti for today's humanity can be opened with this hermeneutical key: dynamic religion. Henry Bergson was not only a profound thinker, but also someone who was deeply involved in the affairs of the world, especially for the creation of international peace. Besides being a renowned philosopher, he was a French diplomat to the United States during the second decade of the 20th century. He was instrumental in the formation of the League of Nations. Bergson was appointed president of the International Commission for Intellectual Cooperation, the precursor to UNESCO. Bergson, in his final book, The Two Sources of Morality and Religion, shows that there are two types of morality and religion. There is closed morality, whose religion is static, and there is the open morality, whose religion is dynamic. Closed morality and static religion are concerned with social cohesion. Nature has made certain species evolve in such a way that the individuals in these species cannot exist on their own. An example that Bergson gives is of bees. Only by sticking together among themselves and by excluding others, they can survive and prosper. What Bergson calls closed morality has its origin in this social need for cohesion. Group cohesion is brought about by strict adherence by the members to its moral code, which is narrowly exclusivist. For Bergson, closed morality always leads to war, since it depicts other societies as potential enemies. Static religion is the religion of the closed morality. The existence of static religion in our present society is evident in the recent terrorist attacks that sporadically flare up. The attack in France on 29th October bear witness to the existence of this. There is also another kind of morality and religion, according to Bergson. that is, the open morality and dynamic religion. The open morality is genuinely universal and it aims at peace. It aims at an open society. The source of the open morality is what Bergson calls creative emotions. Bergson gives the example of a musician who first feels joy and then creates a joyful music, which is then represented in musical notations. Creative emotion makes one unstable and throws one out of the habitual mode of intelligence, which is directed at needs. Mystical experiences are another kind of creative emotion, and dynamic religion is mystical. Dynamic religion acts on the impetus of love. The impetus of love, like joy and sympathy, is a creative emotion. Bergson says that these supra intellectual or mystical actions are not initiated by everyone, but only by the enlightened. Here, Bergson gives the names of Jesus Christ and Socrates. Fratelli Tutti, a call to dynamic religion. The encyclical Fratelli Tutti can be viewed as a call to embrace dynamic religion insofar as it calls for for a global community that transcends the borders of narrow regionalism and encompass people from every race, every nationality, every religion, every sex, and every tribe. Pope Francis, in the concluding prayer to the Creator, writes, "May our hearts be open to all the peoples and nations of the earth. May we recognize the goodness and beauty that you have sown in each of us, and thus forge bonds of unity, common projects, and shared dreams. Amen." In similar vein, Henry Bergson too writes, "From holding our country dear, we learn to love mankind. Our sympathies are supposed to broaden out in an unbroken progression and to end by embracing all humanity." It is also rather striking that Bergoglio and Bergson, one a pontiff and the other a Jew, stress the importance of the gospel in the shaping of human morality. The philosopher says thus: "The morality of the Gospels is essentially that of the open soul. There is an antithesis that occurs in the Sermon on the Mount with the interposition of the words, 'You have heard that it was said, and but I say unto you.' According to Bergson, this symbolizes on the one hand the closed morality and on the other the open morality. The pontiff more personally says, if the music of the gospel ceases to resonate in our very being, we will lose the joy born of compassion, the tender love born of trust, and the capacity for reconciliation. The present dangers. Pope Francis says that the present age is seen to be drifting and sliding downwards to the long buried and forgotten parochial conflicts. Ancient conflicts, though long buried, are breaking out anew. Pope Francis' description of the present day humanity reminds us of Bergson's description of a closed morality and static religion. He says, "Yet there are those who seek solutions in war, frequently fueled by a breakdown in relations, hegemonic ambitions, abuses of power, fear of others, and a tendency to see diversity as an obstacle." Some of the ways that the Pope suggests to achieve this open society are as follows: creation of an all inclusive atmosphere, sound political life, forgiveness, tolerance, and above everything, a transcendent truth to cling onto. Creation of an all inclusive state. The most important way to transcend the growing insular outlook is by embracing and all inclusive receptivity. Pope Francis calls this as social friendship. There is the danger in every individual to have a lurking prejudice towards members of other ethnic backgrounds. Pope Francis calls it as local narcissism. Bergson says that anyone who is thoroughly familiar with the language and literature of a people cannot be wholly its enemy. The solution that is given by both the pontiff and the philosopher is one of dialogue. The Pope further says that a lasting peace will only be possible on the basis of a global ethic of solidarity and cooperation. Sound political life. Pope Francis emphasizes the need for effective politics for a growth towards universal fraternity and social peace. He says that we need a politics that is far-sighted and capable of a new, integral, and interdisciplinary approach. The Pope calls our attention to the dialogue that he had with Grand Imam Ahmad al Taib. They had jointly appealed to the international policy and world economy to obliterate divisive politics and to promote a culture of tolerance. As a remedy to all this hate mongering, the Pope says that good politics combines love with hope and with confidence in the reserves of goodness present in human hearts. Forgiveness. Pope Francis says that the path to peace does not consist in going back to a point of time in the past before the conflict had arisen. Those who were fierce enemies should enter into a dialogue with commitment to the truth. Therefore, the Pope says, violence leads to more violence, hatred to more hatred, death to more death. We must break the cycle which seems inescapable. Pope Francis pragmatically says that the problems that a society is experiencing need to be clearly identified. We also need to acknowledge the possibility that others have at least a legitimate point of view. Belief in a transcendent truth. As a sure foundation for all stable peace, the Pope finally says that we need to have an openness to the Father of all. He says that everything that is not founded on this will eventually collapse. The realization that we should seek peace comes from the awareness that all of us are the children of God. As a conclusion to his assertion in the belief of God towards harmonious existence, the Pope says that it is possible to find a means of serene, ordered, and peaceful coexistence, accepting our differences and rejoicing that as children of the one God, we are all brothers and sisters. Conclusion. Fratelli Tutti is an open letter to all people of goodwill who are willing to live a life of harmony, free from all sectarian and partisan politics. In this regard, Pope Francis appeals to the conscience of the people. Pope Francis is here the mystic who motivates people according to the concept of dynamic religion, the personal appeal or attraction of exceptional individuals who reveal to the rest of humanity new higher moral goals, brings about a higher morality which is described by Bergson as open, dynamic, absolute, and human. This is precisely what Pope Francis advocates through Fratelli Tutti. The call of Pope Francis is towards being more human, one that returns to the foundational vocation wherein God calls all people to be peacemakers and reconcilers. Thank you, dear friends, for your patient listening. As I close my paper, I gratefully remember all those who have helped me in this endeavor. First of all, my thanks goes to Father Roy Varagat for giving me this opportunity. I thank all the fathers, especially Father Rector, Father John Malayil, Father Rafi Vedaparambil, Father Thomas Chervil, and all the other fathers for their valuable suggestions, corrections, and their support. I am also indebted to Brother Anthony and Brother Sibin, who helped me prepare this paper. Brother Leo Peter, and Brother Jobit, who helped me with the presentation. Finally, I thank all my batchmates and my community for their support and encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Alphonse, for your systematic exposition of the theme. You asserted well that Fratelli Tutti is a call to dynamic religion. Now, Rohin Vijaykumar, second year MA Philosophy, Dharmaram Vidya Kshetram, to give his response. Welcome, Rohin Vijaykumar.
A very warm welcome to one and all present here, respected professors, academicians, scholars, students, and my dear friends. Before going ahead with my response, I would like to congratulate Brother Alphonse on writing the cogent and coherent paper titled Procuring Peace by Word and Not by Sword.
Thank
The
you.
paper quintessentially focuses on attainment of peace through a dynamic view of religion. In today's world, where the ancient conflicts between modernity and religion have awoken with a renewed energy in various parts of the world, it becomes pertinent that we come up with solutions and new interpretations of religion and reality to maintain peace among the masses, among humanity. Following this line of thought, the paper presents a warning, a calling, and a new understanding of the aforementioned conflict. The paper manages to engage with this conflict by drawing a parallel understanding between Pope Francis's recent encyclical Fratelli Tutti and the dynamic view of religion found in the works of famous French philosopher Henri Bergson. In a nutshell, the paper elaborates on Bergson's understanding of two forms of religion and morality, namely closed morality where religion is static and open morality where religion is dynamic. The paper elaborates the group cohesion and exclusivist nature of closed morality with its static religion. In comparison, open morality and dynamic religion focuses on an open and creative progress aiming towards an open society that is infused with creative emotion. Similarly, Pope Francis's Fratelli Tutti encourages people to look at religion in a dynamic way and addresses a wider global community which has not been reduced and limited by the terms that divide people. The paper also focuses on the present dangers that have unfurled in recent years and advocates for an all inclusive community that is based on sound political life, emotes forgiveness and love, and believes in a transcendental truth. In the end, I would only like to once again congratulate Brother Alphonse on the paper. The paper, in its essence, tries to understand the nuances of the conflict between modernity and religion. Concomitantly, it also looks at the relation between philosophy and religion in a complementary and supportive way. I would like to ask Brother Alphonse a question that in today's world of technological and global advancement, would it be futile to think that accessibility to information and awareness are the primary hurdles? In that case, what are the ways knowledge, especially pertaining to the questions we're dealing with today, can not only be learned but also realized among the general masses? I wish Brother Alphonse good luck and
Uh,
thank you.
Hello, Brother Rohin. Uh, Excuse me, Brother Rohin.
Yes.
Could you please repeat your question in the last two sentences?
Yeah, my question was in today's technological and global world, it would be futile to think that accessibility to information and awareness are the primary hurdles. In that case, what are the ways knowledge, especially pertaining to the questions we're dealing with today, can not only be learned but realized among the general masses?
First of all, I would like to say that we do not consider that the present explosion of knowledge is a hurdle. We we see that the present explosion of knowledge, especially with regard to the invention of the World Wide Web and the huge connectivity that is there in the present society, is a, re- is forging more strong relations. And considering Pope Francis encyclical, we can say that Pope Francis is telling us not to limit ourselves to certain parochial ideas and ideas that we have. He's telling us to be open to society. What I understand is that the Pope asks us to go outside our prejudices and thus embrace everyone. Now, this is precisely what Bergson also means when he says that we should be open, that we should embrace an open religion, that we should embrace a dynamic religion, and it leads to a dynamic society or an open society. So, this is what I would like to say regarding Brother Rohin's comments.